All right, you've heard their talking points, but what are the real differences between Barack Obama and John McCain's economic plans, and which one is better for you? I'm joined by Heather Higgins. She's a member of the board of directors of the Independent Women's Voice, a nonpartisan organization. She was also, and here's her area of expertise that I think we will rely on so much this morning, you were a portfolio manager and a vice president at U.S. Trust. You also are currently on the board of UBS Mutual Funds as an independent director.
That's right.
So you have a lot of financial expertise. Let's first touch on their tax plans. We've all heard that Barack Obama plans to hike up the taxes for the top 5% of the country. He's going to, he says, lower the tax rate for everyone else, but for people making $200,000 or above, he's going to up the tax rate. What else do we need to know about this that he hasn't said?
Well, the first thing you need to know is that you should be suspicious, because already you have the bottom 1% of the tax revenue coming from 60% of the country, and you've got something like 38% of people paying no income taxes at all. And under the Obama plan, you'd go to 48% of the country paying no income taxes at all, which is, in a democracy, not a very healthy move to be making. But the more important thing is that we shouldn't just be looking at the income taxes. He's going to be, when you look at and you factor in all the tax credits and his, the Obama plan versus McCain's cuts, you're looking at a situation where the marginal tax rate goes up 10% for the people who generate that huge amount of revenue. But even more than that, you're going to see corporate taxes go up. And people say, oh, I don't care about corporations. But that's what drives the economy. That's what gives us jobs. That's what gives us growth. That's what allows the government to have the resources to spend, whether it's, you know, defending our national security interests or taking care of other things that need attention.
Barack Obama says that all of those things that you just outlined will bring in $900 billion into the economy. Is that plausible?
He's talking about raising net corporate taxes, pulling in 25% more revenue than he already does out of corporations. We're already at the second highest tax rate in the world on our businesses. This is a global economy. One of the things that's disturbing, I think, about the Obama approach, if you listen to it, the underlying philosophy is so different. He himself has said that you should not raise taxes if you know that the economy is going south, but he's not pulling back on that. He knows that you should be trying to ease tax burdens, because we're not just talking about revenues, we're talking about jobs and so forth. But he's not doing that. He is pursuing policies, and if you look at his cohorts in the Senate and the Congress, Barney Frank's comments and other people, they've got a large array of spending increases planned that will then lead us to a situation where we either have to raise taxes even more, or we're going to get into an inflation scenario. Neither of these things are healthy long-term for our country.
And one of the things that Barack Obama has said that John McCain, of course, seized upon 2 weeks ago was that it's important to spread the wealth. Let's talk about John McCain's plans. How do you see that? We know that he says that he will not raise taxes. He will continue the Bush tax cuts. Tell us what we should be reading between the lines there.
Well, I think the underlying thing to really keep in mind there, and that's the important thing, is that John McCain sees Americans, all Americans. He's not playing rich versus poor. And he also sees and understands that it's not about spreading the wealth, which is, you know, if you look at the Obama plan, for example, Social Security also moves from being an insurance program that you pay into to a wealth redistribution program, because he wants to hike very progressively and steeply the amount that people pay in beyond what they're going to get out if they're at the upper end of the bracket. There's an underlying difference of philosophy. John McCain understands that wealth is created by business, not by government. Government, at best, if it's going to give money to somebody, has to take it from somebody else. And ultimately, that may seem like a nice thing in the short term, but long term, that's very devastating.
All right, we only have 30 seconds. Do either of these plans help turn around the ailing economy?
I think that the McCain plan has a far better shot of doing it sooner. One of the concerns, if you look at the history of the Depression, is that a lot of policies were put in place that arguably, in retrospect, actually made them go on longer. So, for example, there was a big push to help the worker by raising wages and increasing unionization. That was great for people who had the jobs, but it meant that a lot more people didn't have any jobs at all.
All right, Heather Higgins, again, you are from the Independent Women's Voice, a nonpartisan organization. Thanks so much for coming in and explaining it to us this